All right, let's get into this. It's a story about a true musical genius, but it's also about a city and a soundtrack that was almost forgotten.
Okay, so when you hear the name Ray Charles, what's the first song that pops into your head? For most of us, it's this one iconic melody, a song that didn't just define his career, it defined an entire state.
Yep, you got it. Georgia on My Mind. It's an absolute masterpiece. It made him a global legend, and it's so powerful that the state of Georgia literally made it their official state song.
But here's the twist. While Georgia gets all the credit for his most famous song, his soul, his musical DNA, that was forged somewhere else entirely, in the Florida sun. So let's peel back the layers on this, because Ray Charles's connection to the Sunshine State runs deep.
So yeah, he was born in Georgia, but you really can't tell his story without Florida. From his childhood, growing up in poverty, to his musical awakening, it's all a Florida story at its core. Just look at this journey. He starts in this tiny town, Greenville. Then he goes to the state school in St. Augustine, which is where that raw, incredible talent really starts to get polished. And then, get this, at just 15 years old, he's out on his own, a blind teenager making a living playing gigs on the tough Chitlin circuit. And that path, well, it eventually led him right to Tampa Bay. So he's in Tampa, still just a teenager, and he falls for a local girl. Naturally, he does what a musical genius does. He writes a song about her. But here's where it gets really interesting. When it came time to actually name the song, he made a super strategic and honestly a brilliant choice for the title. He called it the St. Pete, Florida Blues. And if you ever listen to it, it might just be the happiest slow blues song you've ever heard. It's not about being down and out. It's about finding that one person, the one you've been dreaming of.
Okay, so here's the big question, right? He's living in Tampa, he met the girl in Tampa. Why on earth would he name the song after St. Pete, the city right across the bay? Well, the answer shows you he was a marketing genius even back then.
See, in his mind, St. Pete just had a better ring to it. Think about it. Tampa back then was this industrial port city, a place to work. But St. Petersburg, that was the Sunshine City. It already had this national reputation for beautiful beaches and, just a good time. He knew that name had a certain magic, a pull that would connect with people way beyond Florida. So he names the song for St. Pete. But to really get why that city meant so much to him, you have to understand the community that welcomed him with open arms. We're talking about St. Pete's historic center for Black culture and entertainment. Ray was a star on what was called the Chitlin circuit, and in St. Pete, the place to be, the premier stop, was this amazing, bustling corridor on 22nd Street South. Everyone just called it the Deuces. And just to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, over 100. During its peak in the 60s, the Deuces was home to more than 100 thriving Black-owned businesses. This wasn't just a street, it was the economic and social heartbeat of the city's entire African-American community. And the absolute crown jewel of the Deuces was the legendary Manhattan Casino. Now, this wasn't just some little club. We're talking a massive 12,000 square foot dance hall. It was the place to be. Look at this list. Playing the Manhattan meant you had truly made it. He was on the same stage as the absolute giants of American music. Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, the godfather of soul, James Brown, Ella Fitzgerald. This was the pinnacle. No question. Okay, fast forward to 1961. This is a huge moment, not just for Ray, but for the whole city. He's a national superstar by now, and he comes back to St. Pete for this massive outdoor concert at Campbell Park. In this concert, it was revolutionary. In a city that was still deeply segregated, you had Black and white audiences standing together, side by side, all brought together by his music. One reporter at the time put it perfectly. He said the color barrier just sort of dissolved because everyone was just in awe of the performance. But for decades, this incredible story, this connection between a city and a musical icon, it was kind of just a local secret. It wasn't widely known. But then a movement started to bring this hidden history back into the spotlight where it belongs. And that all led to this day, February 15th, 2019. That's when the city made it official, ensuring this story would never be forgotten again. In a formal proclamation, the city officially declared Ray Charles an adopted son of St. Petersburg, and they took his song, the St. Pete, Florida Blues, and made it an official anthem for the city. How cool is that? And that's really why this story is so important. By celebrating this one forgotten song, the city was able to reclaim a vital piece of its own soul. It's a powerful tribute, not just to a music legend,
but to the entire Black community and culture that thrived on the deuces. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing stories, what other forgotten anthems are just hiding in plain sight in the cities and towns we call home, just waiting for someone to hit play?